Have you ever wondered whether the problems in the world today would exist if we had deeper connection to ourselves, others, and the environment and acted from that place?
Welcome to the Conscious Action Podcast with your hosts Brian Berneman and Kayla Greenville, who believe that connection is the key to taking conscious action as individuals and creating a better world.
We are here to raise awareness and inspire meaningful action by sharing stories, knowledge, and conversations with thought leaders and change makers.
From sustainability to well-being and everything related to conscious living, our mission is to empower you to be the change that you want to see in the world.
Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Conscious Action Podcast. I am Brian Berneman, your host, and for this episode I have the pleasure to be joined all the way from California in the United States, Joseph Corella. Joseph, thank you so much for taking the time to be here, for sharing this space with us, and I'm super excited about this conversation based on our past conversations, because what you're doing and what you're bringing to the world, I think that it's so important to bring us a little bit of like aliveness and fun and to come back into our bodies. But before we get into all of that, I would love for us to know a little bit more about you. Who is Joseph?
Brian, thank you so much for having me on, first of all. And I'm really grateful to talk today. Let me give you a little bit of a breakdown quickly of who I am. I'm a Broadway performer, and now I teach dance fitness, and I'm a choreographer as well. So I really combined everything that I do, and I created a dance fitness program called 567 Broadway, which I've been doing for like the past 8 years now, I would say. And I really try to share the message of dance, music, the arts, and really using that for everyone. So I believe that dance can transform you, and movement specifically can transform you, no matter if you've danced before, if you have not. So that is really my passion right now. But I love choreographing. I love the arts in general, and it's helped me in my life. And I really try to share that message with as many people as I can to get up, to move, especially during this pandemic. I think we've all experienced many different levels of really needing to move. And that is where I believe the power of dance can really, really help people, both body and mind. So it's kind of in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And would you mind sharing a little bit on, like, since you were young, how was dance and music a part of your life, and how did you really get into this being your path?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in past lives, and I do think that my journey here on Earth, many times before, there's something when I was young, I had a love for musicals. Like, it just was there. And I'm really grateful for the school that I went to in elementary school, because there was a teacher that I had that did a musical theater program after school. And I went to this like small private school. So like there was like 10 of us in my grade, and like, but I did this after school program, a musical theater program, and it really ignited. That's where it really began for me. But I also knew I was gay at a young age. And I grew up and this is just my story, but for me, I grew up in a very religious family. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona originally. I'm a Mexican American, and there was so many things that were trying to pull me down, and I'm really grateful I found dance and the arts that helped really connect me to who I am. And even though when I didn't know who I was or trying to understand who I was, but that's the thing that has been the constant in my life from as a child to sitting here today, is that I really have been dancing through life. And, but it all started there at that school. And then slowly but surely, I wound up going to this dance studio that was near me. And I'm really glad I had the opportunity. I know that sometimes, well, I was like the only male dancer, but I'm glad my family did let me dance. And that it's been a journey of really making sure to always, when in doubt, dance it out. Like, because I've really never stopped. And I'm not 7 anymore, because I started when I was really 7. But like I really have continued to dance through life, and I'm it's a passion. As you can see, I'm sitting here because I want to share that message with people to get up and dance and move. And I really do want to get the whole world singing and dancing, because I think we could use it.
Definitely. And that's so interesting, because I do think that a lot of people, not only throughout these times now that has been really challenging, but as well, just in general, I see a lot of people that are a little bit apprehensive of moving their bodies because of what other people might think of. I grew up in Argentina, and even though that exists over there in Latin America, like I think that people are much more free to dance. And it's
Yes.
something much more common. Like I feel like, it's in my blood. Like I can just like someone puts music on and it's like I just start moving and that comes natural. Yet I know for a lot of people that's not the case, especially if there's other people like potentially watching them. And I think that it's so needed because for me, like even though dance was part of my life when I was a kid, because at school, like we actually, one of the classes that we had, like we had a dance class. We had, like it was a really nice school that I went to that had a lot of creative things that would enable us to explore. But for me, one of the key things as a teenager that I did was started to practice yoga and some other disciplines that allowed me to come back to my body. Because especially like after those first initial years of school when I was a little kid, and then we didn't have dance anymore, I was super out of touch with my body. And I always say, like, for me, that was a huge part of my journey. It was that coming back to my body, that being able to reconnect, moving it, noticing the feelings, noticing the energy. And I think that because most of us in the societies live in our heads, coming back to the body is really important. So I want to ask you this in terms of that aspect of coming back to the body. What has been your experience with it?
I mean, that's you said it. You really said it well and beautifully. I mean, and yoga is really powerful as well. Movement. I believe in movement, and it is a spiritual experience in my opinion. But dance really did help me get into my body. It helped me. And I think that's you touched on it too. Of like, it's not, I'm not going to pretend it's easy. Like, and or not going to pretend that it's, if you go to a dance class and you whatever age you are, you're going to experience emotions because it is pulling you into your body. And then if you're in front of a mirror and you're feeling all these emotions but it is a process. But when you push through all of that and you allow yourself to really enter your heart, it is such a beautiful, magical experience that, and to me, it is spiritual. It is spiritual there, but it's in a way that I call it dance magic. And I'm so grateful that I was telling my husband this the other day. Like I was like deep thoughts, but like I do feel present in my body, and that's because of dancing and many other things as well. But like dance is a foundation that helped me work with learning choreography and moving when it's right, left, like making sure that having to work my brain like that pulls me into my body scientifically as well. Like it's the neurons and everything working together. There is a lot of science behind this, that working your brain like that is really, really healthy. But also too, I do believe in a spiritual aspect of when you connect to music. And when you connect, when you allow yourself to escape into music and movement in whatever way that is, it takes you to, it's a beautiful natural high. And that's amazing. And I think people sometimes, I really try, and it's been a constant thing for me to remember myself. I really want to share that message with everyone. So I mean, like if you're 60 and you've never danced in your life, and you want to, I do it. So if someone's listening to this, like if that is you, do it. Get up and move. If you're 18 and you want to dance, do it. Like no matter what, what age you are, do it. Like, and whatever your heart is telling you. And, yoga is another beautiful thing that it has been a journey for me. So you probably can help me with that. But like, it is because I'm such an energetic. So I've really, these last 2 years during this pandemic, have had to learn to slow down, give my energy when I'm dancing or when I need to. And then obviously really find ways to center and be in my heart.
Yes, that's so beautiful. And yes, there's, all of the different type of movements, they bring out something different. And and for me, this is one of the things that it's really, really interesting as well in terms of what I see with a lot of people that are quite conscious of how they look when they are dancing, and they are like quite apprehensive to dance around other people. What has been your experience, and how do you help or enable people to move past that? Because it's a very different thing, me dancing here in my room, putting some music and dancing, than potentially dancing outside. Like not for me, like I don't mind dancing like around people. Like I've danced in stages and like kind of been to dance classes. I don't mind, but there's a lot of people that do mind. So what do you say to them when they have that experience?
I mean, it's the same thing that I have to try to remind myself as well is, and I pay attention to how people are, especially with, I've been doing a lot of virtual classes. So I used to teach in person, obviously went virtual, and that's been a whole new experience as well. But like, I really love reminding people you're human. And so you're not crazy for feeling that way. You're human. And that's great. So we're not going to deny that. My whole thing is not denying anything. If you come to class in general too, if you come to class and you're like feeling all these emotions or depressed or anxiety, I say, come to the dance floor and leave it there. But I do pay attention to people. And if there's something that I can sense they're feeling a little uncomfortable with the choreography, it's challenging them in a way, I say, let me just remind you, it's okay. Let that thought come in one ear and out the other. And you're okay. You're human. We all go through it, and let's push through it. And when you get to the other side, it's really, really incredible. And I love, as an instructor, seeing people go to that next level. You always see it from the start, like especially teaching choreography, you see them like apprehensive and like, I don't know. He's having me do a shimmy. It feels weird. And then the next thing you know, by the end of the class, they're like, and it's always the ones that I think aren't having the most fun that eventually are the ones that always stick around and are the ones that are having the most fun. And I love that. I love to see that somebody's like, they look they're just kind of not, they're not given anything, but then you see the light come on, and they're the ones that really take it to the next level, because they're experiencing some really incredible things and really pushing through barriers that it might have taken years to get to that point. And I don't take that lightly. I do not take that lightly. I understand that someone to, especially with the virtual classes right now, to someone to click buy and enter that room virtually is still can be a very difficult thing for them. And that could be the thing that helps transform them. And I reminded them, I try to remind them, take what you learn from in here and spread that out into your communities. That's the thing that dance does, is dance joins people together. Dance and music and the arts join people together in a way that transcends language. It pulls us all together, all different types of people together. And I love that. And it's helped me. I am kind of an introvert. I think dance has really helped me step outside my to really be who I am. But I do, I go out to a party and I'm like, like I'm not suddenly like, yay. But the thing is that dance has helped me really grow and really become more. But it is a challenge. So I don't want anybody listening to feel like, well, it was so uncomfortable. Yeah, it might be uncomfortable. Give yourself a couple times too. Whenever you're trying something, give yourself a couple times to really see the progress. And nothing, you can't just, I always say this in class, you can't just push a button and suddenly be like, yay, I know how to memorize choreography. Like, I've been dancing since I was 7. So like it takes time, but when you continue and really to push yourself to in a healthy way to continue to grow, there is really incredible things that come from that. And I think the pandemic has challenged us in many different ways to break old habits like that too.
Definitely. And I want to ask, in terms of that, how do you think that having a choreography versus a free flow session actually has an impact on people that are the ones that potentially are not used to dancing, are not used to putting themselves out there or coming out of their shells?
Yeah. I mean, I love choreographing to find ways, because with 567 Broadway specifically, it's all Broadway music. And there's a lot of creativity that can happen. And I really try to take people from a creative standpoint when learning a combination. Like, I say, what do you have in your home? Like, do you have a workout costume piece that you can find from home? Like, get really childlike creativity. And I really try to remind people to tap into that so that they get out of here and that they are like, oh. And I also do a lot of, like, I'll be like, you're going to improvise for 8 counts. This part, you're going to do whatever you want. I'm not going to do anything, so that you make the choice and you figure it out. Your heart, it's basically the same. I kind of have like a script, because it can't reinvent the wheel, but like, your heart will tell you when you're improvising, and when you're like, I don't know what the song will tell you, your heart will tell you. And I say, just try new things. And that's what I love, is watching people come to life, because they're like, it's like a roller coaster ride for them. And it is a really beautiful thing to witness people, the light come on in their eyes.
So nice. And since you mentioned it, why Broadway? Like, what's about like Broadway? I mean, I love Broadway musicals. But for you, why Broadway, and why also sharing it?
It's like kind of a deeper thing, because a lot of people think like jazz hands, like Broadway jazz hands. And don't get me wrong, I'm a campy, but like the stories that you see on the Broadway stage, some of musicals can be campy to like you're bawling your eyes out sitting there in the audience. Musicals helped me through really dark times, and they still do. These stories and these beautiful songs, from being really sad to a big tap flashy number. Like, there's so many different things and so many stories. And it also, what I love using is some of these musicals, they have a story that people need to hear. And that, I think this is really important. I think we talked about this the other time, but like, it's really important to have conversations. I think a lot of people, especially with social media, it's like behind our phones, but I think conversations are really important to have right now. And musicals and art in general is a way to speak to the heart. And so I really try to use the story, whatever we're dancing to, in a different way, to really, what's the message of that, and try to teach some lessons within that, because it is important that we learn about each other in the different ways, and it helps me. So these are things that have helped me a lot in my life, and that's why I love musicals. I love musicals so much. And also too, when you sit in a theater and you sit there in the audience, and I try to remind people of this even virtually, when you sit there and you can feel the energy from the stage, like when you see a good show and you're like, and you're maybe 20 rows back, but you can feel that energy. I really try to remind people, let's not take that lightly. Like, when you get chills or you start crying when you're watching a movie, there's some magic there. There's something that is happening that is the art and that energy of that person is transferring to you, whether we understand that or not. And like, I try to remind people even virtually, like, you're right now all dancing from people from Germany, Australia, Brazil, the UK, all over. And I'm like, you're dancing together as one right now, and you are giving each other support and energy, whether you understand that or not. So remember, you're not alone, because I know how it feels to be alone, and we're not alone. We are dancing together. And it's been really amazing to see the messages from that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yes, because I had this experience. I like back in Argentina, like with my family, we went to a few like shows like that. They would bring some of the Broadway shows to Argentina, and we would go and watch some of them. We went to watch a few like in Broadway. When I was living in California, I went to watch this dance company that the name is eluding me now. Leon King or something like that.
Okay.
I can't remember. It was so amazing. Like when I remember watching that, and I could feel like I was like quite far away in the theater. I could feel the dancers, like not only the movements, but the feelings that they were evoking. And I was like, all the way back there, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, I mean, the beauty of the movement and how like elegant they looked. It was, like I think it was a blend of contemporary and ballet. But it was so amazing. I was like, wow, as you're saying, like the power that the arts have to move us and to inspire us and to connect us to ourselves and to each other, because they are universal languages as well. Like I remember on one retreat that I did, we were supposed to have conversations just through movement, like we were paired with each other, and we were supposed to have like a 2-minute conversation with whoever you were paired with, just by moving and trying to say something. And it's such an amazing thing, because it's so different than what we are normally doing. So like being able to explore things in a different way and using the arts, and for that it's so incredible. Like this is one of the things that I am a huge advocate for universal basic income, because I do believe that a lot of people that are supposed to be artists cannot do that because they need to survive. They need to actually earn money, and then they are doing something else. And it's so difficult when, that's what is coming in, like from the body, and what's to come out, and it's like there's no outlet, and it's so incredible that you are able to actually do this.
I'm grateful and that I can do this, and that is why. And it's a journey, and you're right. I mean, as you probably know, the United States is all over the place with the support for the arts. And it's something that needs to improve, because it is art in general has transformed the world throughout time. And you touched on it with like, dance is a language. Dance truly is a language. Movement tells you. And I think I really try to remind people, you are creative, whether you understand that or not. You are creative. Every choice you make, from your hair to the clothes you wear, is an artistic expression. To every little detail is some sort of creative thing. And how do you want to use that? And how do you want to tap into that? And how do you want to let that? And I think that is overall, especially with this conversation, that I'm feeling is like the spiritual aspect of what dance does. And, it's far beyond, I can't even really explain it, but I know that it connects me to people. It connects me to music. It connects me to my higher self. It connects me in so many different ways to this like thing that is so hard for me to sometimes put into words. I could probably put it into movement, but that it really has continued to pull me. I feel very physical with you because you're physical as well. So I feel like my whole life, there's been this string which is dance, and it's pulled me through, and my higher self continued to just pull me through to where I am today. And I want to state this, like, through really dark times, like there has been some really dark moments in my life that I didn't know if I was going to how I would do. The future looked terrifying to me. And I through that experience, though, that is why I am where I am today. And that's why I want to share that message, because I think it's important that we share the journey of what we've been through so that we can help others. And that's why I'm hoping anybody that's listening to this, like, to dance, whether you've done it or not, and like just to find, or whatever your heart is telling you to do, follow your heart. But most importantly, follow your heart. And I know for me, that's been a big lesson in my life, to always continue to do that. Because when I started dance when I was young, people made fun of me so much. School was tough. There was just a lot of it wasn't always easy. And then, but I followed my heart, and I'm really glad I did that. And I look back at my younger self and I'm like, thank you, younger self, because sometimes I'm like, how did I do that? I have no clue. Because there's sometimes now at this point in my life where I'm like, I can't do it. And I'm like, when I was younger, I'm glad that I held on to that love, because I would have missed out on a lot if I didn't.
Yes, and it's important for me to understand as well the importance of movement, as you're saying. This can be dance, or it can be whatever, as you were saying, any kind of movement. What it does a lot of times, especially and I work with a lot of people that have a lot of depression, and like a lot of they are just stuck in their life, whatever, they are in a negative space. Movement can start to ignite that change, because it moves the energy. And even though, like, potentially with the work that I do, potentially then we need to actually look at that and trying to heal those blockages or those traumas. By moving, we start to get the energy going, and the energy flows. And yes, if you are able to dance it out, as you're saying, then that makes it much easier, because when we get into a nice beat and a nice rhythm, and we can get that movement, we are transported somewhere else. And that can get a lot of people out of that space. And I want to ask you something that I think that it's really important from what you were just saying about your experience and how dance got you out of those dark places.
Yeah,
I do believe that dance has a huge potential for bringing people, as we've been talking about, bringing people together, about being an inclusive space. Yet I do think that because of our main perspectives in society, a lot of people are not comfortable going to dance, whether that is, at a school or at a studio. I know when I went, the 3 times that I went to dance classes, it was me and all girls.
I'm and
I was like, which is the same usually with yoga as well. But what is it that what is the potential for dance to create that inclusivity, and how as well do you see that now with potentially with males or with any group that looks differently, perhaps different body shapes, it's a really tricky situation sometimes.
I mean, it's really finding that safe space. I think dance has really evolved since I was younger. I mean, it's always going to evolve. Everything's always evolving. But first, for male dance, I'm going to touch on the male dancers part. Dance for male dancers has changed so much, and I love it. With So You Think You Can Dance, and you've seen stuff on television, but also too, TikTok has been. It is dance trend after dance trend of everybody, male, female, every spectrum. It's really been cool to see that people are competitive about dance right now. Like, and it doesn't, they're like, I got to learn this dance trend and I got to do it that everybody's doing. They like want it. It's like cool. And I love that. Also, I'm not the biggest fan of the competitive aspect of it. So it doesn't settle well with me a little bit about that. But however, I'm really grateful that the next generation seems very excited about dance. They don't even, I think they don't, they're just like, yeah, let me do a 30-second dance. And it's like trend after trend, millions of people. That's really cool. But with an inclusive environment, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I'm passionate about creating a safe space for everyone. I don't really even think about it. I have to admit, I just know that I want to create a class that is accessible. I would say, like, I'm not going to be doing like 50, 20 pirouettes and like leaps. Like, it is dance fitness and it is a workout class, but I try to create it that everybody can, if you need to take a modification, you can do that. So I think of in terms like that, like choreographing and making sure that it's moves. So, cause I have people from 18 to 75 in my class. I really do. And that naturally happened. But, there is a lot of things that we have to continue pushing through with body misconceptions of what beauty standards are, especially in the I'll speak more from the United States, of my experience in the United States, fitness ads, seeing like what beauty standards are. And there's a lot of things that are fed to us that we are not good enough. And I really, I created a workout video that is called 567 Broadway, a new musical workout. And my whole vision for that was to show all different types of people, but not talk about it. I'm talking about it now, but like, here we are, like and actually it's my class. It's the people that actually take my class. So, but all different types of people coming together and just showing that, because I think sometimes you see fitness ads like to push, this is the ultimate look. You want to look like this. And it's like, we're human and bodies come in many different looks and shapes and sizes. And we want to celebrate that. But, it's still a big growing experience. And I want to encourage people to, I love YouTube. And if people are at home, try it at home. There's so many ways to try things at home right now than ever before. And I try there. And then once it's truly safe to be back out in class again or whatever, wherever your community is, to find something and give it a try. And you might like it. And then you might be like, yeah, I'm going to go back. And you might not. But might be like that. That teacher I did not connect with, and that's okay. And I've learned for me, that's okay. Maybe that will work for someone else, but for me, I'm going to continue trying new things. And it's really exciting when something clicks. And I love when something clicks, because then you're like, yay, I made it to the right spot. But in order to get to that spot, you have to take a dance step forward. You got to take a kickball change forward.
Yes, definitely. And it's so interesting in terms of that, because I've done a few events with conscious action about body image and on how as well, like, for a lot of people, based on the beauty standards, as you're saying, like, they don't feel beautiful, they don't feel good enough, they like, and this is whatever body shape and size people have, like, with like, in my experience, having run workshops and events on this, even the people that others look and are saying like, like, that is the beauty, those people, like, they don't feel that sometimes. So how then that, like, they can take that is just in their experience into a space that potentially they feel judged. It's really incredible. Like, a lot of times when I've been doing for many years now my yoga classes, I tell people, there's no, like, don't look at each other. You're not here to look at anybody else. This is about your experience. Like, who cares about what other people might be thinking of you. Like, this is about the feeling in your body. I know that, we're trying to sometimes do a specific posture or something like that, but it's like, well, go to the feeling. And I think that in dance, a lot of times it's similar. Of course, if you are in a professional dance group, then you need to actually hit the mark on the different movements.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is about the feeling experience, and not allowing what others might think of you to actually change that. And I love that, that saying of like, dance as if everyone is watching, or dance as if no one is watching. Like, for me, it's dance as if everyone is watching. It's like, yes, look at me.
Yes. Yeah, I think I try to really guide people to dance like as if everyone's watching you. Like, that's where we want to get, in my opinion, but also too, yeah, you need those moments. I dance at home a lot. And I've always done that since I was a kid. I would put on music and close the door and like have out full like Broadway or like, performances that really refueled me. And during this pandemic, I had my AirPods in, constantly listening to music, walking around the house, because I needed that, and would dance in the kitchen making breakfast, but I needed music to just help me connect to myself. And, like we've been talking about, like using movement to really, focus on, what do you need to, what's happening for you today? And I remind people that every class, what's going on with you today? How are you feeling today? Like, not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now. How are you feeling? Do you need to get something out like here, especially when we're moving and there's parts where like, and I actually, I have people, even though I can't hear them, but like, I'm like, we'll be doing like fast feet, like for like, 4/8 counts. And I'll say, do you just yell, or, or do you want to laugh? Do you want to cry? Just get it out, do something. Let's make sure that you just do something. You need to get it out. And it is really helpful, because I deal with people a lot that, I think we all experience this, but just holding it in. And when you're like, oh my gosh, oh yeah, I am holding a massive rock on my chest that I didn't even realize was there. And when you yell, you're like, oh my God. And and then you're like, let it go. And then you're like, and then it's a magical experience. You're like, I want more of that. I need more of that.
Yes, it's interesting. A lot of times, for me, when I go for walks, especially now during like the lockdowns and everything, I noticed that, I don't know if this is just because of my way of being or what, but it was interesting a lot of times looking at people. Like, I look at people in the eyes, like a lot of times when people are crossing each other on the street, whether it is throughout these times or it was just on like when everything was open, like looking at people in the eyes, and people are looking down or smiling at others, and it's like, who's this weirdo or whatever. And a lot of times I'm dancing, like I have my like, I'm listening to music and I'm dancing as I'm walking, like, and whatever, I'm just moving my hands or like, just going, and I'm just walking, and I see some people looking at me and like, who's this weird person? I'm like, me.
You're
like, like
you're like, you want some here, you want to dance too, come on now.
Who cares? Like, I want to dance and I want to express whatever music is invoking, and I think that it's something that what you're doing, that is inviting people to bring out this sense of movement in themselves, because we all have that, even though a lot of us perhaps don't look externally like really like beautiful movement or not. It's like, well, like how does that feel like? It's the same for me with singing. Like, I know that I don't have the best like singing voice. Like, even my siblings when I was a kid, they used to tell me that I was ruining music when I was singing. But I don't mind singing, and if someone else doesn't like it, well, they don't like it. Problem. It's just my experience. So, I think it's really, really interesting that. And Joseph, I wanted to ask you, what is the one thing that you wish everybody knew in terms of this topic? Like, if you like, in terms of movement and dancing.
I mean, and you kind of touched on it with what you were saying, like, not caring about what other people think about you, but I love working with non-dancers. So like as a choreographer, I work with actors as well for TV or for music videos. And I love working with non-dancers because there's something that when you dance from your heart, when you connect to your heart, it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So when especially working with non-dancers, when they get to that magical spot, it's really, really cool to see somebody come to life and it transcends. I'd rather watch somebody dance from their heart that has never danced before than watch a dancer that is highly trained and not dance from their heart. So when you're in here, you do radiate light that is so beautiful and so amazing. So I just want to encourage people to find the dance magic in their heart and hold on to that and always use that in their life, from a class to their home, and to always really beyond, even if someone doesn't take a dance class, like if they're like, I just want to encourage someone at home, whoever needs to hear this, that to find the magic within music, movement, the arts, use that to really understand yourself. There is something behind that. And it doesn't mean you're going to have to go be a professional, but there's something that will help you connect to your heart. So I hope that that can help someone.
Beautiful, beautiful. So well said. Like connecting to that magic, I love that. And Joseph, how can people find you and join in your classes?
Yeah, so you can find me at 567broadway.com, and everything is, like, social media is at 567broadway, but really you can find all the information at 567broadway.com, and it will have links to YouTube, my workout video, live stream classes, something. And if you ever have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. There's a contact on there as well, but 567broadway.com.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Yes, and we will have the links on the show notes as well, so that everybody can join and can dance it out and can join in a little bit of that dance magic and getting it in from their bodies. Yes, thank you, Joseph, so much for taking the time for sharing with us. I love what you are like sharing in the world and where that is coming from. So thank you, and thank you once again for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Beautiful. And thank you everyone for listening. I hope that you're taking something. I hope that as you're listening to this, you are dancing. At least move a little bit your head or your arms or your shimmy, like doing some shimmy, like do something. And check out the classes online as well. And we'll see you everyone on the next episode. Bye.
What did you like the most about this episode? Take a moment to think about what change you can make in your life today.
Share your conscious action on social media using #ConsciousAction and tagging @ConsciousActionNZ so we can celebrate your impact on the world and create a ripple effect.
One easy action we would love for you to take right now is to share, like, and subscribe to this podcast. This will help us get these messages out into the world and inspire more people to take conscious action in their own lives, contributing to the better world we hope for.